The moment the twin girls broke free from their security guards and ran barefoot across the marble lobby toward a tired-looking man in a faded veteran's jacket, the world of polished glass, billion-dollar deals, and guarded silence cracked wide open, because their small hands clutched his sleeves with desperate strength and their faces carried a terror no amount of money could erase, a terror that screamed one truth louder than any alarm ever could. Their mother was dying, and somehow, instinct had chosen this broken single father as their last hope. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unseen power hidden inside ordinary people, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel name, because stories like this remind us that humanity still matters. No one in the towering headquarters of the global tech empire understood why the twins ignored executives, guards, and doctors, choosing instead a man who looked out of place among tailored suits and luxury watches. He stood frozen, eyes wide, scars faintly visible on his hands and neck, the kind earned not from boardrooms but from battlefields and long nights of survival. He was a single father, a military veteran who had learned to carry pain quietly, the kind of man who had buried friends, raised a child alone, and taught himself never to expect miracles. He had only come to the building that day to deliver maintenance paperwork, another small contract job to keep food on the table, another reminder of how far life had dragged him from the dreams he once carried into service. Yet in that moment, when the girls clung to him as if he were the last solid thing in a collapsing world, something old and dangerous awakened inside him. The CEO of the company, their mother, lay upstairs in a private medical suite, her life slipping away after a sudden collapse caused by a rare complication that even the best specialists struggled to stabilize. The building was filled with panic masked as professionalism, assistants whispering urgently, doctors exchanging tense looks, and executives calculating the consequences of losing the woman who had built the empire with iron will and sleepless nights. But none of that mattered to the twins. Children sense truth without logic, and their instincts told them that the man with weary eyes and a guarded heart carried something different, something real. Years earlier, in deserts far from skyscrapers, he had learned skills never written on resumes, skills born from necessity when help was hours away and lives depended on steady hands under pressure. As security hesitated and confusion spread, he was escorted upstairs, more out of uncertainty than trust. He felt every stare burn into his back, felt judged for his worn boots and simple jacket, felt the familiar weight of being underestimated. Memories flooded him as he walked. Nights spent holding wounded comrades together with nothing but grit and knowledge, moments when hesitation meant death, moments when fear had to be swallowed whole. He had left that life behind after losing his partner and becoming both mother and father to his young son, promising himself never to step back into that darkness. But life has a way of circling back, especially when innocence reaches for you. Inside the medical suite, machines hummed softly, and the CEO lay pale and motionless, her strength reduced to shallow breaths and flickering monitors. The room was thick with tension and helplessness. Doctors explained complex terms and risks, but their eyes betrayed doubt. There was a critical window closing fast, and every option carried consequences. The twins watched silently, tears streaking their faces, and when they looked at the veteran, there was no question in their eyes, only belief. That belief shattered his last line of defense. He stepped forward, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty, asking to help in a way that made professionals pause. His words were simple, grounded in experience rather than theory, shaped by years of making impossible choices under fire. What followed stunned everyone. His hands moved with calm precision, guiding, adjusting, applying techniques rooted in combat medicine and emergency survival training, methods rarely used in sterile corporate hospitals but devastatingly effective when time was the enemy. He worked alongside doctors, not above them, filling gaps where protocol hesitated. Sweat formed on his brow, not from fear, but from focus. In those moments, the room transformed. Titles dissolved. Wealth became irrelevant. There was only a woman fighting for her life and a man refusing to let another family shatter if he could stop it. Minutes stretched into an eternity. The twins held onto each other, watching the man they barely knew fight as if their mother were his own. The veteran felt the weight of every second, the echo of past failures whispering that he could lose again. He pushed through it, anchoring himself in the discipline that had once saved lives in far worse conditions. Slowly, subtly, the monitors began to change. A fragile stability emerged, delicate but real. Doctors exchanged looks of disbelief as crisis turned into cautious hope. When the danger finally eased, the silence in the room broke into quiet relief, the kind that feels sacred after standing on the edge of irreversible loss. News spread through the building like wildfire. The CEO was alive, stabilized against all odds, and the unlikely catalyst was a maintenance contractor with a past no one had bothered to ask about. Executives who once dismissed him now looked at him with awe and humility. The twins refused to let go of his hands, their tears now mixed with smiles, their faith rewarded in the most profound way. For the veteran, the victory was bittersweet. Relief washed over him, followed by the familiar ache of memories stirred and wounds reopened. He thought of his own child waiting at home, of the promise he had made to live quietly, safely. Yet he also felt something he hadn't felt in years: purpose. In the days that followed, as the CEO recovered, she learned everything about the man who had stepped out of the shadows to save her life. She learned of his service, his sacrifices, the loss of his partner, and the quiet resilience with which he raised his son. She learned how society had thanked him with indifference, how his skills had been reduced to line items and overlooked potential. When she finally met him, still weak but determined, gratitude wasn't enough. She saw in him not just a hero, but a reflection of the strength she valued most: integrity without applause. Opportunities unfolded not as charity, but as recognition. He was offered a role that honored his abilities, helping design emergency response systems for the company and beyond, ensuring that others might live because of what he knew. More importantly, he was offered belonging. The twins found in him a protector, a steady presence who understood fear and hope in equal measure. His son found a future brighter than survival, a chance to see his father respected for who he truly was. And the veteran himself found healing in an unexpected place, learning that stepping forward did not mean returning to war, but choosing life again. As time passed, the story became legend within the company, but its true power lived in quieter moments: shared meals, laughter echoing through hallways once defined by pressure, a family reshaped by chance and courage. The man who had arrived unseen now walked with purpose, his scars no longer hidden but honored. The CEO, stronger than ever, led with renewed compassion, her empire guided by the reminder that humanity cannot be automated or replaced. If this story is touching your heart right now, please pause for a moment and engage with this video, because every like, comment, and share helps spread stories that remind us who we are at our best. And before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Comment below with the word hope if you believe that even in the darkest moments, the right person can appear and change everything. In the end, it wasn't wealth or power that saved a life that day, but instinct, experience, and a heart shaped by loss and love. It was proof that heroes don't always wear suits or uniforms. Sometimes they wear worn jackets and carry invisible burdens, waiting quietly until the moment the world finally needs what they have to give.